the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Ago this was is we had fullbacks in the biz here, and it was Seth Littrell. He was a longtime successful coach at North Texas. He was just at Oklahoma. It did not go well this past year for the Sooners, but I don't know if I necessarily put that on Seth Littrell so much as just that offensive line was a train wreck, and Jackson Arnold turned out to be a train wreck from the Tennessee game on. They were also devastated with injuries with all the receivers who were out for the year, and it was a disastrous situation. So I don't really pull that much from Littrell and that struggled that Oklahoma's offense had. But in the grand scheme of things, we wondered if they were just going to run it back because they lost Mackenzie Milton to UCF. He was an analyst QB guy for Tennessee this past cycle. They lost Pendleton. I think he went to Kennesaw along with Mitch Metello. I think, is that how you pronounce his name? He's the OC now with Jerry Mack at Kennesaw. He was another analyst. So Tennessee quietly lost several guys behind the scenes here this cycle. So I was kind of curious what they were going to do. And he goes out and gets a vet because most of them being young guys. Like Heupel's been replacing these guys with young guys and promoting from within. I think it's pretty interesting, Joe, that he went out and got someone he obviously played and knows very well in Seth. But I think it can't hurt, right? Like to have this fresh face who knows the offense, who knows Heupel really well and knows what he wants to do. I don't know. I think this is a positive and kind of out of nowhere. But do you like it, love it, or about the Seth Littrell edition?
I like it. I'm not infatuated with it. Like you said, I mean, I don't know too much about him. I know back in North Texas had a lot better run. I think you're right. Like that OU team was such a train wreck last year that like I think at most 50% can even be attributed to anything that he could have done. Like, yeah. I mean, you could have thrown the best OC ever in that position. And I just think, you're right. That O-line was just a train wreck. So, I mean, obviously, him and Heupel having gone back a ways, I think they share similar offensive styles. It does show that Tennessee is making an effort, a conceited effort of like, okay, some offensive issues last year. Let's address that. You did mention that we were kind of wondering if they were just going to stalemate and try to move on from what you had. But I mean, I like that it shows that they care about moving the offense forward. And I think you're right. You can't really. I mean, I don't see a situation where you negatively are impacted by adding him. I really don't think it's going to be that big of a sway. But I think there's an opportunity to add the likes of kind of that up-tempo, spread out player man offense that Heupel likes. So, I mean, I think it's a good addition.
Yeah, I think it's a good addition. I think it can't hurt. It's just, Caleb, I look at it, I'm like, the difference between the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball and the age gaps is wild. Like the defense, you have Rodney Garner, who's making really good money for Tennessee. You have William Inge, been around forever. You have Tim Banks, who's been around a long time. You have Willie Martinez, been around forever. Like you have a lot of age and veterans on that side of the ball. Joey Halsley, not 40. Darrell Sims, not 40. Kelsey Pope, not 40. You look over and it's just like, from Mike Gundy's word, I'm a man, I'm 40. You don't have any of those on the Tennessee offensive side of the ball. It was Alex Golish. And I think at the very least, it's nice to have some bets in here because I think just to help Joey Halsley as he continues to settle in as OC and play caller for Heupel, I think that can only help to have another sounding board and another cook in the kitchen to help these guys and also take some stuff off Heupel's plate so he can be more of a CEO and be more hands-off the offense because it's someone he knows and I'm going to assume will trust to really do and call the game the way that Heupel sees fit.
Yeah, and I think this is, as much as this is Heupel getting a guy in there that he trusts, that he's going to lean on, whether that be in, game plan, opponent scouting, whatever it may be. I think this is also someone for Joey Halsley to lean on, a guy that has more experience play calling that Heupel does also trust. I don't want to call this a coup of sorts, but it wouldn't surprise me too if this is bringing in the next man up. It just wouldn't shock me. The experience he brings, the relationship. Don't be too shocked that this is your offense coordinator in 2026. Like that, right? I mean, that just
Mike Bobo situation with Kirby from a couple
Maybe,
years ago,
yeah.
where you bring him in behind Monken just in case Monken gets a OC job somewhere else, and he obviously goes to the Ravens. Like then you're
Yeah.
like, all right, let's plug him in. And guess what? Bobo and Kirby Smart, very close friends, and you have Will
Right.
Muschamp there too. It's like wouldn't be the most surprising thing if things,
It
but I
just-
don't want that to be the case because that means
not-
the offense may have struggled again this year. If Seth Littrell is the sole
Potentially.
OC next year, that does not bode well for Tennessee's offense in 2025.
Potentially, but I mean, it could be a number of things. It could also be the who's the guy for Pruitt that got a better job?
Not Chaney.
No, Chaney replaced him. The guy that went to Western Kentucky. Is that where he went?
Oh, Helton.
Helton.
Yeah, Tyson Helton.
He got a better job, and
Mm.
but everybody was. It could be another situation like that. Now, hopefully, not as stagnant of an offense, but maybe a situation where they left for a better deal. I don't know. It's just like you see this guy coming in, you're thinking this is an analyst, and it is a weird role for him to take on. But I think you mentioned all those young guys. I think getting an more experienced voice in the offensive room could be really, really good for Heupel. I think Heupel's done a good job even this year when it wasn't as much as we wanted. Like it was still there. It was productive at times, but I think I'm still racking my brain because I just don't think at the end of the day it was Josh Heupel's offense when Alex Golesh was here, but was Alex Golesh really, really good at challenging Heupel in their not just their game planning but also his play calling and pushing him when he needed to be pushed? Can this guy who is experienced also had some pretty high-powered offense at North Texas before he left, and then also a friend, Josh Heupel was in his wedding, I believe, correct?
That I don't know, but
I think he was.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he was.
Well, I mean, think
well,
about
also-
last year because we were wondering if he was going to get the tight end position. Like he was in the mix of obvious, like, hey, he makes sense
Yeah.
here. The Heupel history. I think you might be right with the wedding thing. So he was rumored to be in the mix for the tight ends coach job before they elevated Ablin into that role. Who's been good, by the way.
Right. But I think another voice in there to just hopefully be someone, hopefully it's not a butting of heads situation like friends can
Yeah.
be sometimes. Hopefully it's just like a good, healthy challenge at times and another set of eyes. I mean, I got to think Heupel trusts him. I don't know what that level is since they haven't actually worked together. But I got to think there is a level of comfortability there and trust. And I don't see how he's an analyst. I don't see how this could be a negative thing. I feel like you can only be positive. I mean, as negative as it, like how if it's bad, how bad can it go?
Well, it's also like it's just when you have the rules change where you can have so many guys on the field now, you don't have a limit on how many assistant coaches you can have. It's
Right.
like, why not? Like if he's sitting out there, like, and like just add another guy in there. Like I think this is just at worst neutral. Like I don't think this is something that could hurt things in 25. Like that's the thing. It's like I don't think this would be a negative for Tennessee. It can only be neutral or a positive.
Yeah, agreed.
I love it. Next up here, last football thing. Season grade series continuing on. We did quarterbacks a couple weeks ago. Let's do this week.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.